Welcome back to the very first ever, this is going to be fun, Drunk Drive-In. So we just got done watching Spice World and half of Rugrats movie and an episode of Schitt's Creek.
Mishmash, if you will.
The goal is to review Spice World, but we might talk about Schitt's Creek and Rugrats movie as well. So this is very different. This is going to be very different from the other episodes that we've done. There's not going to be any trailers because we didn't watch a movie in a theater and all that other stuff. It's right away going to be probably pretty explicit and embarrassing for all of us. So heads up, send the little ones to bed. We are joined by three guest hosts two guest hosts and a guest host. All of them recurring guest hosts on the Drive-In. One of them a very recent recurring guest host. Aaron is here from last week's Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Justice League. Aaron.
Hi. How's it going?
Hey. Kelly from Greatest Showman is back.
Hi.
And Nick from Pitch Perfect 3 and Love Thunder.
Hello.
This is going to be good. This is going to be fun. So the first thing Kelly had said, she's like, you don't have any questions? This is not going to be one of those episodes. So spoilers, if you haven't yet seen Spice World.
It's amazing.
Yeah, for 21 years.
You're also a little late.
Spice World can legally drink.
I had never seen it, so they're not alone.
But it's also a movie that has no plots. There's no spoilers.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my god, they sing.
Shocker. Escándalo.
Escandaloso.
Well, in the tradition of starting this for the first time, so we're starting the tradition, kind of last week. What are we drinking tonight? I am finishing a Leinenkugel Summer Shandy, but I will soon be starting a Leinenkugel Orange Shandy, so different there.
Clearly a lot of variety there.
Yeah.
All the shandies.
You got the variety pack,
Ooh.
okay?
I did. And if you guys are listening last week, I also had the variety pack.
At least you're consistent.
Yeah. Consistent with the variety.
Aaron, what are you drinking?
I have a New Belgium juicy watermelon lime ale.
Interesting.
Pretty good. Juicy.
I'm bumming a Red's Peach Ale off of Aaron, but I also had an entire bottle of Barefoot Moscato. So.
Proud of
Big
you.
spender.
That's where I'm at.
That barefoot.
That barefoot, though.
She's on a budget.
And then I have a Warped Wing Trotwood Lager, keeping it local.
Support local business.
Yes.
All right, so I don't really know how to start the episode. Let's talk. Kelly, you hadn't seen this yet. You had not yet seen Spice World. Aaron and I hadn't seen it in a long time, probably since our early adolescence.
Yeah, it's been 20 years.
And you could probably say we had very different viewings of it as children, but I don't know. Nick's seen it since college, right?
Yeah, so I think I watched it, in its entirety about 7 or 8 years ago, getting drunk, coming back from the bar, my sober friend making us all macaroni and cheese and us sitting on the couch and watching it, on VHS. That's where we're at with this, and this is one of my all-time most favorite movies.
I just say, I gotta be at least middle school. At least middle school, if not.
So that was probably around the same time then.
Probably, yeah. All right, so Kelly, you have not yet seen this. What was your overall impression? Just kind of general, hey, Spice World, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was a typical, 90s movie about a band. Not a lot of plot. I literally did not know what was going on, the entire time. I did like Alan Cumming in it. I do love Alan Cumming. So.
Who's Alan? Just
Alan
kidding.
Cumming.
So...
What?
So, no, at one point, it's during one of the flashbacks, one of the real flashbacks, where the girls are all singing Wannabe for the first time, or we'll hear it for the first time in the movie, and Kelly didn't even realize it was a flashback. She's like, what? Why is this happening? What? And then
Oh,
they
yeah.
had a cut to Sporty Spice looking out the window, and they're like, what the hell is this? And I mean, it makes. I don't want to say that. It doesn't make sense.
No.
It follows at that point, but
Much of this movie does not make sense.
It makes sense kind of what they are at this point in the movie. Like, the cutaways to them in their own houses looking, like, sad and depressed. Like, they just got into a huge fight. Like, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but they just had this huge fight, and they're, like, semi-broke up before their huge, like, live gig at Albert Hall. They're upset. They're hurt. So they're reliving their glory days of when they first came together. Come on, you guys. Like,
You're giving them too much credit.
Nick's getting a little emotional at the moment talking
I'm a
about
little verklempt. I'm
Spice
sorry.
World.
this is going to be however long this episode's going to end up of Nick trying to say this is a good movie.
It is a good movie, all right?
It's a movie.
It's a good movie. If you agree, comment below, because you know what? It's what it is.
Not a YouTube episode.
There's comments on
In
YouTube.
the description box.
It's not a YouTube episode.
Not a YouTube episode. You know what? Y'all are haters. Spice World is a classic, okay? It's a cult
It's
classic.
right up there with Schindler's List.
Oh, no. That was dark.
Okay, so, oh man, so here some of the things. Let's let you guys in. Let's let you guys in on some of our drinking game rules. So there were 4 of us. Unfortunately, we didn't have our 5th member. It's okay. No, he probably won't listen to this. So Derek, I hope you're feeling better, but you suck because you weren't here.
We don't have our Jerry.
How fitting is that? As Derek would have been Ginger Spice.
Probably not very fitting. Not very fitting at all.
I did feel very connected to Sporty Spice.
There you
Like,
go.
I did relate to her. Like, out of all of them, I did relate to her the most.
So each of us had a single Spice Girl to watch the entire time if they had a specific quirk. I had Baby Spice, and anytime she had a lollipop, which was like 90% of the movie, I had to take a drink. Sporty Spice, Kelly had, and that was anytime she had a
Like a
sports...
sports reference
Yeah.
or, like, was doing anything sporty. So there was just, like, a random, like, cutaway to her, like, holding a volleyball and, like, looking out a window, and, like, that was it.
When she was emotional.
Okay,
But she
whatever.
didn't have to
It
be
was the-
holding a volleyball.
Yeah, it was the whole volleyball thing. And, like, she was in, like, a
Because
uniform and
earlier,
everything.
too, she talks about, like, why does everybody have to stereotype us? Sporty holding a volleyball, wearing a tracksuit.
That's the joke, people. They are 5 stereotypes.
Oh, man. Nick, you had Posh Spice. What was your
Yes.
thing?
Mine was anytime Posh Spice could not participate in the activity due to her fashion choices, so whether her dress was too tight or her shoes were too tall.
Okay. And Aaron, you had Scary Spice.
Anytime she was wearing an animal print, which if anyone has ever seen Scary Spice, it's pretty much constant.
I think the only time she wasn't was when she was wearing the space suit, which she had animal print under
she had,
that.
like,
Yeah,
animal print
no, she had, like,
bra.
the purple.
And then the
purple
purple
outfit.
thing,
Yeah, like, jumpsuit.
Which but we found out she had a
Oh, yeah.
leopard print bra underneath
See?
that, so
Yep.
she always had that animal print going on.
And then we all shared Ginger Spice, and anytime that she had... she did something to try to seem
Pretended to be smart.
smart.
Yes.
We had to drink. We also drank anytime they said the word spice, which
Or
was
that we saw this word
Or-
spice
yeah.
on the screen.
because it's on the bus. And
Spoilers. That's a lot.
all the time.
On the newspapers.
Anytime they said girl power, which surprisingly was not as many times as I
Yeah.
thought. It's only like once or twice.
Peace
Yeah, we also had the
signs.
peace
And the
signs.
peace signs. And then also anytime that our characters sang like solos, and or we just wanted to take a drink when they were singing. So yeah, it was also because apparently you can't buy a copy of Spice World in Dayton, Ohio on the quick. We had to stream it illegally from
On the quick.
I don't know
Okay, just checking. Continue.
day of. We had to stream it illegally, so sorry to whoever owns the rights of Spice World still and getting royalties. You probably missed out on a couple bucks today.
But since we didn't have any trailers, we did have a few advertisements along the bottom, which were pretty great.
Yeah, we
couple
did.
Pitch Perfect references.
Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages.
Which is very fitting for the 4 of us.
There's a monster
Yeah.
demon warlock
Yeah.
world thing in the corner.
I think I saw one reference to Clueless, which was great.
Yeah, Clueless was on
Clueless
after.
is also a classic.
Unfortunately, though, because of that, though, we did miss out on a couple elements because it was edited. It was censored, if you will. We didn't get to see a few things. I am aware. It's tongue in cheek. That doesn't apply. So, yeah, it was a good 90. No, not quite. The runtime's 93 minutes. We had like a little under that, so we had some things cut out. Nothing major, but there were a couple that we looked at.
We missed whole butts.
We missed the Italian asses. All of the men's asses, as well as a sexual harassment alien case that did not happen because of... And the word mental.
Yeah, which was I thought was really weird. They bleeped out the word mental. I mean, maybe it's a...
Like from the British audience standpoint?
Maybe, but I mean, it played on Freeform. Like,
I mean, I can see it as being like offensive to anybody with like anxiety, depression, or anything like that.
They had the noose, though.
They had the noose.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm gonna come center stage and hang myself, and they got that.
They left that in. That doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever.
All right, so let's do our best to run through the plot. I've got Wikipedia up. I'm going to throw out some references as we go through. Let's talk. So the movie starts with a lot of weird hand motions. They're like swimming through this
psychedelic.
It's like 80s.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a 90s movie start. It changes. It gets there.
That's a little more 60s, 70s with the Go-Go's. The go-go dancer look, so it kind of fades in on their like silhouettes and this psychedelic look.
I mean, like an introduction,
introducing each girl because they're and they use their real names, not their stereotypical names, so which I thought was nice. And then kind of kicks into one of my favorite songs of "Too Much."
Apparently, I'm on Wikipedia. They were on Top of the Pops, which is a British music chart television program. So they were singing on a. There's a lot of references in this movie that are completely over our heads because we're not British.
We live in America.
A lot of people too, like a lot of the celebrity references were completely. I was looking it up. I'm like, I don't know who this person is. There's a couple though. We'll get to them. Okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So they're singing. They're singing Too Much, and then we jump into a lot of kind of like cuts. It cuts back and forth. The girls get onto the bus. We get an introduction of Kevin McMaxford, Kelly's favorite character.
No.
He's gross. He's awful.
No, you're jumping ahead. Wait, what?
Well, the girls sing. They go through the hallway. Oh, we got Elton.
Elton's in there, and then you meet the documentary people, which is Alan Cummings, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because we don't meet that dude until a little bit later.
Well, Wikipedia's got Kevin
Wikipedia is
McMaxford
wrong.
before Piers Cuthbertson Smith.
So they walk through this hallway. They meet Elton John. I will give you
Can't
this
say that
this
was
like
nice.
scene by scene walkthrough. So, the documentary team is setting up for their documentary, and the Spice Girls are supposed to be coming down the hallway at them. They're in the wrong spot. They go behind them, and they're all confused. Then the girls are outside getting ready to get on their bus and meeting their adoring fans.
There's way too many guys in that. Like little boys. Like, guys and little boys are very, very different. There's a lot of British boys who are like, oh my god, Spice Girls.
They were a
I did
worldwide
not notice that.
phenomenon.
There's a lot of guys in that right now. I mean, I can't talk. I was a Spice Girl.
Yeah,
were
you
singing along
admitted,
to
and you were
all
like
the songs.
quoting the words and singing the songs.
So here's the thing. Here's a quick little anecdote. I got a DVD player when I was like 6th grade, and my dad. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. My dad got a new DVD player, so I got his old DVD player. In 6th
There we
grade.
go.
And so they got that for me, and then they'd gone to the store or whatever random movie store and gotten me like 4 or 5 movies. Well, it's like 2 or 3. The ones I remember, I had Flubber, Little Nicky, and Spice World. My parents bought it for me.
Your parents
My
are
parents
heroes.
bought it for me, and everyone is like, "What is Spice World? What if?" I didn't have a choice. Not that I didn't watch it, and it didn't help me become the person I am today.
Notice he avoided the word man.
That's neither here nor there. But yeah, so that was my introduction to it. So I watched it a lot as a kid. I only had like 5 movies, and I watched that one a lot.
It hurts my heart that you had it on DVD because I wore it out on VHS. Like, legitimately wore out the tape on VHS because I had watched it so many times as a child. I don't know what that says about me, but who cares? So we know my track record.
I think we all had that like one.
Yeah, we all had that movie that you
out.
watched. Mine just happened to be Spice World.
And you had to like rewind it and like play it again and rewind it.
Mine was We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. The forgotten Disney movie that everybody wants to like say doesn't exist. Because it's really dark. Holy shit, it was dark. Like, talking about like giving pills to dinosaurs to make them monsters, and then they gave them to people, and like it was basically a huge extended metaphor for depression, anxiety, and how people take pills in order to become somebody they're not. It was like, okay, get a little real there, Disney.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that one. John Goodman was in that.
I think I had, and again in the vein, I had Miss Congeniality on VHS, which is another classic. So good.
All right. Okay, so yeah, the girls, we meet the documentary crew who are, throughout the movie, they are always stalking the girls. Alan Cumming leads them. I did not realize his name was Pierce Cuthbertson Smith.
Yeah, did they ever say that in the movie?
Maybe Pierce.
They called him Pierce, but other than that.
And so we have him. He was stalking the girls. We meet the manager, Clifford.
And
his
one color suits. Like,
Clifford had a lot of those.
He takes some styling choices from the queen that wears one color.
That's true.
That way she's easily spotted in the crowd.
Fashion forward.
Yes.
Oh, no way. He was Dr. Xander Rice. So
who?
Clifford. Richard E. Grant. He was in Game of Thrones. He was in Logan. He was Dracula in Bram Stoker's
Dracula.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. Okay, so
apparently we've got Cher joining us on this podcast episode.
Apparently, a very hard phrase to say is male. Is it male cheerleader? Male cheerleader. It's hard to say when you're
intoxicated,
drunk. It's hard to say sober, apparently, too. So, male cheerleader.
Male cheerleader.
Male
cheerleader.
Nope. Yep.
New male cheerleader.
The reason for this, that we found this out, is because we were going to watch, not Pitch Perfect. That's
Bring
a
it
different.
on.
Bring it on.
Basically, the Pitch Perfect of cheerleading. Bring It On is what we're going to watch. It's the same thing. It's like
Pitch Perfect is the Bring It On of acapella.
There you go.
No, I'm saying
Bring It On came first.
No, but it's the same style movie. So Pitch
Yeah.
Perfect would be the Bring It On, or no, Bring It On is the Pitch.
No.
No.
You were right the first time.
I was right the first time.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, heck.
So yeah. All right, back to the movie. Spice Girls. They're doing stuff. They are on a bus. So this bus is...
Yeah, we gotta talk about the bus.
It's like the TARDIS of London buses.
Exactly. Like, you get into a normal bus, and you're like, all right, you got enough room to walk down and 2 seats on each side. Even if you take that and, like, double it, you still have, like, 15 feet, maybe?
Yeah.
This is like a 45-foot wide and 80-foot deep bus.
They definitely, like, had a different set
like
for
each,
the inside of the bus.
Each Spice Girl has, like, their own room within this bus.
Yeah, like, they shot the exterior of the bus, and then they shot the interior of the bus. Not the same things.
They never actually, Oh, and speaking of the bus, who's our bus driver?
Meatloaf!
And I wanted to know, like, what is Meatloaf doing in 1997? Because he seemed to be coming a long way down. He definitely... Meatloaf, I remember in, like, what was it, the 80s? He was like going hardcore, and then he picked it up again later, basically in the nostalgia factor. Probably in the 90s, I mean, I know Nick will probably say, but the Spice Girls were at the height of their fame.
Where's the line?
He said that during the movie.
Multiple times.
But I don't know. I think it's kind of funny that Meatloaf is the bus driver. But because there's a few cameos that
There's a lot of cameos in this film.
are bigger than others, yeah. And some of them are like, you've got Elton John, who's there for a handful of seconds and gets kissed, and he's like, "Oh goodness." I'm pretty sure.
Calm down, Queen.
I would say
Wait
Elton was
into
out
that.
at this point, so it's not. That's weird. And then you got like George Wendt, Mark McKinney, Elvis Costello. I was very
17
excited.
times.
Okay, here's the thing. Remember, last time I saw this was probably like middle school, and I didn't really realize who Elvis Costello was at that time. And so now I'm like, oh my god, it's Elvis Costello.
Yeah, you said that.
Just
I
like
also
that.
didn't realize.
I still didn't know who it was.
Nor did any of us. So one of the characters who comes into play is Kevin McMaxford, the really gross newspaper owner who is trying to basically take the Spice Girls' reputation down the drain because he's tired of talking nice about them, even though he was one of the people that talked them up and made them famous, which I don't understand that. But anyways, he hires Damien, a photographer, to take pictures and basically record the girls and portray them in a negative light. Damien's Richard O'Brien. And if you don't know who Richard O'Brien is, he was Riff Raff and the writer of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hashtag fun fact.
Yeah, this plot description is horrible. So what
The
happens?
plot is horrible.
No,
There
it's
is no
not.
plot. There is no plot.
They're on a week-long bus tour trip around.
They fly, too,
And they
though.
fly.
They do fly out, but they're on a promotion tour
Yeah.
for their upcoming Albert Hall live gig, which in America we call it a concert.
Like, I think it was being shown on TV.
It was.
But at the
was.
same
It was
time,
Live
televised.
like-
streamed around the world.
They didn't have live stream in the 90s. It was
She
televised.
said that in the movie, though.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh.
When they were up on that stage. She's like, yeah, we're going to live stream it around the world.
Mm.
In her fancy accent. Right?
On the telly.
On the telly.
Yeah, that's the movie. Like, we're done here. No, that's basically what happens, and there's a lot of hijinks and songs,
Shenanigans,
and
if you will.
And of course, there's the pregnant best friend.
Yes, the pregnant best friend that decides to, randomly show up. Nicola, if you will.
I don't understand her value. Like, okay, let me rephrase that.
It's to add some drama to them getting to the live
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
And I think it adds depth to them to make it look like they're a little more down to earth and a little more human because they have a friend who is going through some serious shit. She's knocked up and her man left
But
her.
they brought her to a club when she was overdue.
The
And
first
she's like,
time
"Oh,
we
my
see
wife."
her, she's already a week past due,
Yep.
and then it's like 3 or 4 days later, so she's like a week and a half past, and she goes to a nightclub at like 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Girl, go to your doctor, get induced, honey.
At that point,
Have the baby.
well, and they even make the joke: you need to charge that thing storage, like
Also, I love that it's not rent. It's
Yeah.
storage.
charge it
Like,
storage.
it's like a box of, photo albums. Not a baby. Not a human life.
Well, and the baby daddy is gone. He's gone. Trevor, I think his name was. Was that?
Mhm.
I don't know if that's right. It's not in.
He's
Wikipedia.
gone. Trevor left me.
He and the baby kicks, and Baby Spice feels the baby kick, and I was like,
Meta.
I see what they're doing there.
I just got that.
He didn't. Yeah, Kelly got
Thank
it.
you for joining us, Kelly.
Any reference to motherhood goes through Baby Spice.
Gotcha.
Don't
I
forget
was
the-
just too distracted by the actual pregnancy belly because it wasn't very it was so bumpy and
It was
wasn't
massive.
smooth.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also really, really high.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, when she's sitting down, it's like...
Because by that point, she would have dropped, and she would not be
I was just
carrying
so
that
distracted.
high.
How dare Spice World not be anatomically correct?
True.
Oh, that is false. Wikipedia says that the girls' uptight manager Clifford and sympathetic assistant Debra are fending off two overeager Hollywood writers who relentlessly pitch absurd plot ideas for a feature film. That's not
That
what
was
they're
only
doing.
Clifford.
Clifford
Yeah,
is the only one, and it's
Deborah
not,
really doesn't.
and they're not really fending off. He agrees to.
Yeah, he entertains them.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't like the idea.
Well, I mean, at first he's very opposed to the ideas because come on, the pitches that they're giving are kind of shitty. So, I see it, but I think the words on Wikipedia are a little embellished, if you will.
yeah,
And
probably.
Space Force 5?
Spice.
Force
Oh,
5.
Spice.
Okay,
Spice
sorry.
Force
I just didn't want to drink.
Space Force is what we're all gonna have to sign up if we want our military ID cards in the next couple years, not Spice.
I want to be a stormtrooper.
Spice Force 5.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So that's what's going on there. I'm just struggling because they break away and they go to they're on the bus. And one of the first things that we see after they get on the bus the first time is they go, and this is when we meet Nicola, is they're singing, what is the song?
Say You'll Be There.
Yes, that one.
You're welcome.
They're singing the Say You'll Be There, and they get, Sporty Spice gets real bitchy.
Hold on. What's going on here?
The guy hits the wrong note, clearly on purpose. But, like, then we're like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, you're wearing your boxing gloves? I'm like, shit, the guy made a mistake. Back off, Sporty. I don't know. I thought it was kind of bitchy.
It was a little shitty, especially being that early in the movie. But, perfectionism in the arts, I guess.
I really just wish everyone could see the head gestures that Nick's doing right now. It's
Wow,
pretty
movement.
great. Lots of bobbing. Very, very RuPaul-esque.
Yes.
It's pretty great.
Winner, chicken dinner.
And literally no one who ever listens to this podcast is going to understand that reference.
You know what? Maybe that reference is just for me and you.
There you go. It's great.
Oh, speaking of those that listen to this podcast and references, Andre, here's your weekly shout out.
It's a little late.
There's only like 6 people who listen to this weekly, so I gotta get those people on here more often. Anyways, they're singing. Nicola shows up. They're like, "Oh my god, you're still pregnant." Alan Cummings like, watch the let's watch the real emotions, and then they go and sing again. That's that scene.
Riveting, really riveting.
And then-
Cinematography.
And then we meet Roger Moore's character, apparently Chief. I didn't know that was his name. I didn't catch that from the movie. He's like the owner of the Spice Girls.
Yes.
Like
Probably like their manager, essentially, or agent kind of thing.
maybe their agent, because Clifford's their manager.
Probably an agent.
It's like the Clifford's manager who supervises him. It's weird. It's a weird situation.
He's got a lot of animals going on. It was fun to see the progression of the animals that he had. Like
He
Yes.
started with a cat.
and then he went to a bunny, but it didn't look like a bunny.
It looked like a
It looked like
fake
a stuffed
cat.
animal,
Yeah.
And then he got to a little pig.
Yeah.
Did
he then
fed with a bottle?
Yeah.
That was
Yes,
pretty great.
it's a big thing.
Let's bottle feed the baby pig. It's pretty great.
I appreciate the fact that they portrayed him though as like a Bond villain with like the cat and the animals and everything, because Roger Moore as James Bond. That was pretty funny. But yeah, he's telling them that they can't do things, and Clifford's trying to let them do things, but also not. Some strong character development there.
His phone was really cool, though. It was, clear.
Speaking of phones, I miss the 90s when you could just hold up your phone, press any random spot on the phone, and it would turn the phone off. Like in that meeting that they had. Cell phones off, please. And they're just, holding it up and pressing the front, and it's like, beep. Turning my... Respect the writer. Okay.
Oh yeah, when they're
The first time they're pitching plots.
the movie plots.
That was kind of weird.
I see you.
Oh, yeah. This is real bad. Because the next thing it says the stress and overwork compound which culminate in a huge argument between Clifford and the girls suddenly storm out the evening before their gig. That's like the last third of the movie.
That's a big jump. We miss a lot of interesting moments.
So
there in the middle.
I'm trying to remember the next big one. Is that
after that? Essentially, we fly out to Milan for their gig.
That's right.
And they're rehearsing for a gig, and then the backup dancers show up, and they are very muscly men in some very tight whitey underpants.
They're oiled up.
They are very oiled up.
Baby makes a gesture at one. She's like, ugh.
Yeah, she
touches
slaps him
one
on the
and then
shoulder,
it's
and
just
she wipes the oil off.
And they refer to the stuff in the pants as rolled up socks.
Rolled up socks, because one of the guys is bouncing his pecs, and they're like, it looks like a two fur buried up in there.
Ew.
Yeah, that's very unpleasant.
Yeah, so they're at Milan, and then there's this huge argument because they're like, we didn't agree to this. This is tacky. I was like, this is to what's tacky?
Yes, it was tacky.
Like, all right. So the guys are half naked, and then they're like, oh, we're going to compromise. And unfortunately, Freeform didn't like the compromise, and Freeform decided to blur out the compromise.
Yeah, because then the guys come back, and they do the same song, but now they're in these purple unitards, but when they turn
like
around...
ones, too.
Yeah, they're tuxedo unitards. You turn around, and they are assless. There's a whole lot of ass. So if you are watching Spice World, make sure you are renting your own copy and seeing those asses in person and in real life.
Yeah, Kelly didn't get to see them.
I know, it was
They were purpled out. Like the guys were wearing full pants. Apparently, though, with like spray painted
Yeah.
chunks of purple.
The best part was, though, it like went to a blackout after, and like you could still see the four.
That was like the
Yes.
last thing that faded out was the purple spot over the asses.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
They fly back, and even so, this is where to me it gets to be too much. I think it's Ginger who says, "Was that even worth it?" Like,
Yes.
as that you see like the plane flying back, and it's midnight.
Was that really worth it?
Like, yeah, that's. I guess that we needed to get to 93 minutes, so that we had to throw that scene in.
But the next scene is
good lord.
cinema gold. I mean,
Is by far
on.
the worst, and unfortunately they even edited a portion of it, because if you're going to get rid of any portion of this movie, this is going to be the part that you edit out, because it's just so stupid. It's awful. Jesus Christ. Okay, so they're driving down this woodsy
back
highway.
country road.
And they're like, they have to pee. And they're like, oh, we gotta go to the bathroom. And Deborah has her nice little line where she's like, doesn't matter how famous you are, sometimes you just still gotta go take a whiz in the woods. Yeah, well, she didn't say it that way. And she said, you have to tinkle in the woods. Or
I think she says piss in the woods.
Oh, goodness, Deborah.
Maybe.
Watch your mouth.
Watch your mouth.
So they go out into the woods. Posh Spice is wearing a very not unfortunate, but like what's the word I'm looking for?
Inappropriate dress to be going wee in the woods.
Well, I mean, it's perfect for going wee in the woods. You just got to squat. It's like barely anything.
But it's Posh Spice. She wears the most tight little Gucci dresses, if you
the
will.
little Gucci dress or the little Gucci dress.
I know. Why don't you
Or
wear the little Gucci dress?
That's a good idea.
Thanks, Em.
Okay, so they're walking through the woods and they're all frightened, and then there's this huge honk sound, which it's completely parodying Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because there's this like loud horn, and they're like they think somebody farted. And
Oh,
like,
pack it in, Mel.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
There you go. They get there, and there's aliens. It's not like this movie was really like winning anything, but they incorporated the aliens, and it just lost me. But aliens are Spice Girl fans.
Big Spice Girl fans.
We all are.
Yet somehow they understood their language. That was kind of like
That's
weird.
what the subtitles were there for the girls to understand.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
is that 3 or 4Ks?
That's full.
Well, surely couldn't be 3.
God damn it.
There's the okay. There it is. But yeah, so I was pissed though because me and Nick, we paused the movie and we went and got shots to celebrate the worst single like 3 seconds in movie history build up, and they edited it out.
So pissed. Like, so pissed.
You got the girls walk up and aliens are coming down the ramp at them, and you see one of them reach out and looks like it's gonna like do the ET thing or shake their hand, and then it grabs Cherry's boob, but that was not something that Freeform liked, so they edited it out. So
Ridiculous.
Shocking.
I'm so offended that I edited that out, because that is one of the best moments in movie history. I mean, I don't know why this movie didn't get an Oscar, but that's just me.
Oh,
I
honey.
think
Oh,
I
honey.
got a few reasons.
Oh, honey, what is you doing?
And these aliens want autographs and they want pictures, and they're just fans, and it's weird.
They want tickets to the Albert Hall gig, but I'm sorry, they're all sold out. Oh no! And then they want autographs. And then that's when we get the...
Did you make it up? It's not for me, it's for my brother.
Kawaii Takaka. Is that 3 or 4 Ks? That's 4.
And then they're like, say, and that's what they say.
And then they take a picture.
And the picture shows out just how shitty the costumes were, because they look so plastic that's not even funny. Like, you did something that made it even more obvious that you wasted all your budget on just getting a bunch of celebrities, which I guess it wasn't really, like, gonna win a lot of.
Yeah, I don't think they're exactly going for high, like, production quality with this movie.
I don't know. I don't know, because in the mid-90s, this was actually probably...
I mean, this was a big deal. When this movie came out, it was a big deal, so... Just saying.
I remember everybody in my middle school was like, "Oh my god, are you gonna go see the Spice World movie?" And I was like, "No," and I didn't. But then I got it. And then
you
DVD.
got it bought for you,
and I watched it, and I was like, "All right, let's see what this is about." I love Spice. I am unashamedly a Spice Girls fan. I think that they've got a handful of good songs.
They have a lot of good songs.
There's some that I've never heard of, but there's some good ones.
I mean, if you don't have their greatest hits CD, you're missing out.
I'm missing out then.
You could just get the Spice World soundtrack too. It's
no, because
I don't think I want that.
I'd
rather have the greatest hits.
The greatest hits has them from Spice and Spice World. Like it's because those were their 2 big albums. Sorry About It, Girls. Those are the 2 albums that really matter.
Spice World is an album too?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I'm learning so much.
There's songs there's original songs in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, like first time that they were out.
Yeah, they were released as singles and they had videos and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah,
I was at like the tail end of the Spice Girl era. Like I came in at like the boy band era, so I like just missed out on the whole Spice Girl phenomenon. I know, I probably did, but I got my fill with NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys.
Okay, I ain't mad at you for that.
So. You guys probably already know this, but everybody listening, you need to shame my wife, because whenever we have this discussion about were you NSYNC or Backstreet Boy fan, you know what her response is?
98 degrees.
98 degrees.
Oh, I do need to shame her because that's not an answer.
That's not an answer. Like, they had 2 songs.
Yeah. It's an answer, it's just the wrong one.
Yeah.
it's like...
You are entitled to your wrong opinion.
They had, what was the main one? I remember Give Me Just One Night, Una Noche.
It's all about you.
But that's not even the one.
Hold on, let me get my phone.
They had like 2 or 3 songs that actually were worth noting, and we can't think of them right now.
I'm on my way to the Wikipedia.
It was, so yes, she was a fan of the Lachey.
Of the Lachey.
The Lachey.
There was 2 of them.
Speaking of, Ohio has a lot of Lachey.
Yeah, they're from Cincinnati.
They are from. They have. If you guys are in the Ohio Cincinnati region, stop on by
Lachey's bar.
Lachey's if you want
downtown.
Overpriced.
They had
decent.
The hardest.
The hardest thing was their first.
They also had True to Your Heart. That was on the Milan.
Yeah, it was.
Yes!
And they had I Do, which was their which was like the
remember.
big one that was on TRL all the time. Shout out to TRL.
Oh man,
what year is it?
Oh.
I think
TRL is back.
I was gonna say it is back, but they don't.
But not well.
They don't do the music videos like they used to. They just play songs and
there's
basically
no
like a celebrity.
There's no Carson Daly with black painted fingernails, so I'm not here for this.
Oh, Carson.
Yeah, it's pretty like millennial.
Oh, that's rough. Speaking of MTV, man. Anyways,
all of
I
those.
still watch MTV.
MTV, VH1,
yikes.
what happened to you both? VH1 got ghetto.
Yeah.
VH1 was
real ghetto.
Basically, here's the shift. You had MTV doing what it was doing, and then it started to shift away a little bit, and VH1 was like, oh, we're just going to do what MTV did and do it, but like older songs. And then they were doing it well, and then they shifted away and did like the I Love the 80s, I Love the 90s, which I was okay with.
I would love those.
I love those. And then they just stopped doing all of it, and MTV just decided to be a reality show.
But MTV really like started reality TV with The Real World. Like that was the first reality. Jackass. But like I remember watching all of the Real World seasons like in order. I used to know them all, what city they were in order for each season. Like that started that trend and that revolution.
But that was okay for what they did, like, because it was a slice of the pie. It wasn't everything. It wasn't the entire pie.
Now it's everything.
They were still playing music. And
and it was like their late night was their reality couple shows that they did.
Yeah, they had like the 10 spot, if you will. They would play like their shows after 10 o'clock. Like Daria was on the 10 spot. They had real World and Road Rules, and then they brought the challenge in.
A huge challenge.
I love
I love the challenge.
Yeah,
and Are You the One? But I know I'm probably the only person that watches that.
Didn't watch that one.
Me and my friends stayed up, and it was right after the challenge that they started playing Jackass, and we stayed up to watch that. Oh, I love Jackass.
Jackass was good.
That was funny. But yeah, we're talking about Spice World here.
We're just reliving the 90s.
It's a little bit of a tangent.
It's a 90s.
I mean, it is.
episode.
It's an appreciation of 90s pop culture. So speaking of 90s pop culture, let's take a break and see what is coming up soon from Eventide as we refill our drinks and popcorn and all that other stuff. Kelly is shaking her head no. I think that bottle of Barefoot's doing her in.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a quick little break, and we will be back here in just a second.
Oprah's Book of the Month Club? Please. We've got something much better in store for you.
Let's talk about books. The energy is right. I got a candle going. It feels good.
Every Monday morning, Jessica Gillen sits down and talks with you about the very best in books and literature.
Murder on the Orient Express, The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, The Cruel Prince.
It's The Bookseller, every Monday morning, brought to you by Eventide Entertainment. If there's one thing that's true about wrestling fans, it's how much they like to talk about wrestling. Join Aaron Lopez and Ben Norsworthy for the Top Rope Wrestling Podcast.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Tune in every episode and be ringside as these two break down all of the big matches in the world of professional wrestling. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
All right, welcome back to the drive-in. We are here to talk about... Kelly forgets that there's an editing process to this. Thinking we're going to get a longer break here.
No, okay, I have to explain something though. Last time I was here, I literally had bronchitis. So
Ain't nobody got time for that.
At the break, I took a drink of water, I held in all of my coughs, and I had to save it until we braked, and then I kind of took a minute to myself, and then we got back into it. But no, we didn't get a break. But that's okay.
Do you need to use the restroom?
No, I'm good.
Do you need a cough? Okay.
Boo, you whore.
All right. And we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, a little Jimmy Fallon quote there. All right, so aliens, and then
boobs.
And what even happened next?
So I think after that, as we get to the point of the girls are exhausted, they try to get a day off.
It is the day off.
The manager says no, and then
the manager wants to give them the day off, but Chief says no.
Chief says no, and then they have this cute little spat, and Victoria's wearing apparently a blazer with, just an exposed bra, because that's cool.
Hey,
fashion.
Well, then after that, we go to dance camp, which with Mr. Snoop. Let's talk about this.
It's Mr. Step.
Mr. Step.
And Mr. Step is actually somebody, and I looked him up because I was like, oh my god, who's Mr. Step? It's Michael Barrymore. He's very famous in England, English comedian and television presenter of game shows. So I'm sure that was really funny for them, but it was just a mildly entertaining guy. He was great.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
He reminded me of, what's the guy from... the guy from for the Friends episode where Joey tries out for the musical and does choreography.
Oh,
they're teaching, and he's like,
"Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?"
It sounds really.
Yes,
so
I see it.
Because there's the guy who's like, "Oh, our choreographer dropped out," and he's like, "Oh, that's."
And Joey choreographs for them, and it is a.
And he's like, "Oh, this is how you do it." It's just like da da da, and the step ball change, pas de bourrée, and jazz hands. Like, that's what I remember of that guy, and that kind of reminds me of this guy. But even more so because he's dressed in, like, military garb with a, not a nightstick, but, like, one of those little jazz sticks.
It's like a ballet cane. When the old-fashioned ballet teachers that used to slam it into the floor to count.
And the best quick change in this movie.
Yes.
Perhaps of any movie, with no editing at all.
It's wonderful.
The girls are all...
Asterisk, there is lots of editing.
There's lots of editing. The girls are all wearing their various clothes of choice, and then they walk through the door and they're in
camo.
Yeah, like camo outfits.
Uniforms.
And they're all in like these heavy camo
Except
shirts
for
and
Posh,
pants.
because
Posh
she has to be in a dress and high heels.
Yeah, she has a cute little Gucci, like,
Camo
dress with some cute shoes. Like, what's wrong? Why you hate on her?
I'm not. I'm just pointing out.
This is one of those points
Facts
in the movie.
Facts.
It's one of the parts in the movie where Nick is drinking quite a lot because Posh Spice was not participating in any of the boot camp activities.
Yeah.
Except she did gingerly step through the hoops.
She did. She went through the
the
tires, and then she chose not to go through the tube and not climb the wall, and Tarzan swing off of it into kiddie pools, apparently filled with cold water. So I am mad at you, Victoria. You do you, honey.
Yeah. And then what happens next?
Then we have the nightmare scene where they're all okay. I'm just gonna take over here for a
We
moment.
missed Mama. We didn't
miss
talk about
Mama.
Mama. Mama was when they're talking about during Nicola, and they're like,
Oh, the first time, yeah, when they flash forward to them all being moms.
Yeah. Not that it's all that important.
No, but it's a funny moment
because they're all pissed off at their kids for listening to their songs.
And then they start cranking up Mama, and Ginger goes, "Lucy, Timmy, you turn that bloody racket down." And it's funny because it's their music. Ha 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 ha.
And Sporty was still on the
exercise,
but she needed it because she was like 150 pounds. She was pregnant.
Yes,
they all
that's
were.
the joke. Is they were all pregnant.
She didn't look well. She wasn't standing. So
No,
I couldn't tell.
She just probably had.
She just looked like she was wearing like 3 fat suits.
No, she was.
That's just her oversized like jackets.
That's
her
fat
20,
shaming.
That is her 20 jackets. So okay.
So we're back. So they're staying at this big scary house where they have the dance class, and it's nighttime. And the creepy photographer apparently sneaks in through the toilet, which is, that's feasible. So every move he makes, he wakes up one of the girls, even though the toilet's probably on the other side of the house compared to them where they're, staying. They all get scared, and they all apparently are having nightmares about the same thing. They all end up in, I believe, Victoria's bed?
I don't know.
It sounds right.
It wasn't Sporty or Baby or Ginger.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Victoria's bed. They all end up there, and they all start talking about that they're having the same nightmare about this Albert Hall gig, about how, they try to go sing and they don't have any heads, and then Victoria's like, I had a head, but didn't have any makeup on it, and apparently that is, the end of the world to her and Ginger, so...
Ginger's horrified with her red lipstick on while she's sleeping.
Because that's what you're wearing to bed, honey. Okay.
Yeah, and it was... Yeah. So they're all worried. There's this, like, psychology aspect of, like, oh, maybe they're worried about their show. They don't know what's going on. It's like trying to figure out the dream sequence of everything. I don't know.
It's trying to be like psychological, and it's not. And they start having a conversation, and then they talk about how they're all terrified, and the photographer's there getting the scoop on him, laying underneath the bed like a hella creep. And then he reports that they put it in the paper and talk about how the girls are terrified. Clifford has a meltdown. They make fun of him. Yada, yada, yada. It keeps going on. And then after that, I can't remember what comes next.
After that, let's see. Oh, that's where they start to break.
That's the contest winners are next.
The contest winners? Oh my god. Okay, so this is my favorite part. So you've got...
Not the boob rod?
Well, I didn't see that.
Child abuse. That's his favorite part, America. That's his favorite part.
So, these 2 kids win a contest of whatever sorts.
Trip around London with the Spice Girls.
Yep. And one's wearing pink and is blonde, so she's supposed to be like, oh, she's probably a fan of Baby Spice.
A baby.
She's a baby.
You're so funny.
And then there's an African American one. Well, no, she's African English. She.
God damn it.
So she's there. No. She has the same hairstyle as Scary Spice. And we're like, okay.
African English. Seeing as how, I think a good majority of Africa was owned by England at one point.
It's historical, okay? Yikes. So...
Shit got dark.
So I was wanting to know when they were going to bring on the whore kid that was supposed to be Ginger's favorite. But no,
you can't call children whores.
I was a whore as a kid. Like,
I'm
not
sorry.
a kid,
What?
but like a high school kid. But
these were like children, like 7th graders.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't tell me you don't know a 7th grader.
I do, because I knew a 7th grader that had relations with another 7th grader on our library couch, but that's neither here nor there. This was the 90s.
And about that boat ride.
This is the 90s. It's a different time. Libraries aren't just for reading.
Oh, God.
Gives a whole new meaning to the stacks. So.
Get out. Get the fuck out. Get out.
So these kids, they are on the bus, and then Scary Spice is like, oh, you know what would be fun? Child endangerment. Let's kidnap these kids and go on a boat and just boat around the Thames.
Boat around the Thames. I mean, you're not wrong. I'm pretty sure something like that, but because she goes, when I say go, we go.
Okay.
Go.
Go. And they all like run, and they're like, oh, we're having fun. Until they all fall into the river and almost drown.
And then Sporty saves the day.
Sporty belly flops off the...
Yeah,
not very sporty like.
That was not the sportiest descent into the water.
Well, both kids of Victoria or Posh Spice fall into the water because, you know, why not? And
they go off a ramp.
Yeah. Well, they try to avoid the ramp.
They avoid it.
Yeah.
And then,
like,
luckily they have life vests on because safety first, children. They have life vests that save their lives. And that's why, I mean, when Sporty jumps in and she catches up to them, she's like, I jumped in the water for nothing?
It's the only song that they sing in the entire movie that is not their own song.
Nope.
It's My Boy Lollipop by Millie Small.
Now available on iTunes.
Apparently the movie's
doing the damn head bob again.
And, okay, so I'm looking at the music, and I have to give and I said my favorite part like 8 times. This is another one of my 20 favorite parts. Before they go into this, because we skipped this, because it really is not important at all. They go into this, like, cocktail hour to, like, talk to people and just kind of meet and greet and mingle. And Alan Cumming and his crew are trying to get in, and they can't because they're not on the list. And so then Nicola shows up, and she's got an extra ticket, and she gives it to Alan Cumming's character, and he's like, oh, yeah, I hope you're ready, because tonight is the night where 3 become 1. And it's really creepy and weird, but it was funny because I did not catch that when I was younger. And
really?
I did not catch that.
You never caught that?
Because the next scene, the song that they're playing is 2 Become 1.
Yeah, and then over the course of all that, that's what plays in the background. And I do have to say that I really enjoyed the conversation of Posh Spice with Jennifer Saunders from Absolutely Fabulous. One of the best British comedies that are out there. So check that out on Netflix if you're looking for something new to watch.
Jennifer Saunders also played the voice of the evil fairy godmother in animated Shrek 2.
Yes, she did. She sang I Need a Hero.
Another
Was she the one that was like, I'm talking to a Spice Girl?
Yes. Yeah.
That was really funny too.
Yes.
I laughed.
Oh, Hugh Laurie was in this.
Where was he in?
He was
the judge.
He was...
No, that's Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No,
You
what was...
tried.
That's not how you say his name. How do you say... from Murder on the Orient Express?
Perot.
Or something like that. It's weird. It's not Perot.
Are you having a
Is
stroke?
it Perot? Hugh Laurie was that.
Do you smell toast?
Or are you just drunk?
But was that the part that got skipped? Because there was a part that we talked about where like, that got skipped. I don't know.
What got skipped? Oh yeah, no, it's the murder mystery investigation scene,
and that's probably where
he's at in it.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got a handful of very very famous cameos here. We talked about Meatloaf already. Richard O'Brien, Alan Cumming, George Wendt, Norm from Cheers. Mark McKinney, which you might know from Kids in the Hall. He was one of those original guys. Trying to think of some of the other
Kids
ones.
in the Hall?
No.
Look it up. Educate yourself. Learn something.
Jules Holland, who's an English reference person. He worked with a lot of people. He was the music director when they got bitchy at the beginning of the show. No, don't know these guys.
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins.
To figure out who that was in the movie.
Apparently, one of us has not yet seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's the travesty.
Yes.
Kelly
That would be
Holbrief.
me.
Yeah,
Educate yourself, darling.
I need to watch a lot of movies.
Yes, you do.
It's really good.
Big
Very good. I didn't know he was an English actor, though. He is apparently
Is he?
English. Yeah. Bob Geldof was in it. Bob Geldof was one of the guys. He basically, if you guys ever heard of Farm Aid, or not Farm Aid, Band Aid, which was in the 80s. It was when like the We Are the World, that song came out. Bob Geldof put that together.
Yep.
He was the one that Sporty Spice gave horns to at that party. And then Elton John was in it. Elvis Costello was in it, right, Kelly?
Yes.
Was Elvis Costello in this movie?
Elvis Costello was in this.
Oh my gosh, Elvis Costello! He's tending the bar!
He was the bartender.
The bartender by the bar.
Oh, casting. Frank Bruno was a British professional boxer, was originally cast as the tour bus driver, but withdrew after a security guard prevented his son from having a photo taken with the girls.
I'm sorry, are you on the IMDb trivia section?
No.
Not yet.
Wikipedia trivia section.
And Princess Diana was originally in this movie.
That would be great. Yeah, they do make like a little nod to
The royal family.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna like cut to them.
Like,
They are not that. They don't care about the Spice Girls that much.
no.
I'm sure they were like,
That would have been really impressive.
oh, nice. Wonderful.
If you got the freaking queen to be in your movie, hell yeah.
And her corgis. Oh, I love
Oh,
them
the
so much.
corgis.
Did she have the corgis back then?
She had the
Irrelevant.
corgis. Have you watched The Crown?
I'm sorry, corgis are never irrelevant.
Yeah, she had the corgis back like in the 60s. Like,
Yeah?
like even when she took the throne, she had corgis. Watch The Crown,
Good to
Harley.
know. It's on my list.
Yeah, watch The Crown. It's good. Real good. Anyway, Spice World.
Are the corgis on the crown?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And then the film also reunited, as we have mentioned, Richard O'Brien with Meatloaf. Because they were both in Rocky Horror.
Mm-hmm.
And official toy versions of the Spice Bus were produced upon the movie release. But
And
Fun
apparently
facts.
used
In the movie.
in the movie.
We haven't
We'll get
gotten to
to
that part yet.
We'll get to that. So, all right, we're probably pretty close.
We are pretty close. I think by this point, so they
So they have their breakup. That's
yeah,
the
they have
next
the
big thing.
after the boating accident. They're all at Albert Hall apparently at the end of a rehearsal, and this is when they have the big fight and Clifford's yelling at them. So they all they kind of go their separate ways and after yelling at each other, and this is where we get the emotional flashback that apparently nobody else likes, but I do, when they're reliving, back in the day when they were, no one, hanging out at a coffee shop when they had no money.
Showing just how relevant Nicola is.
I mean, keep them grounded.
She presses the play button on their jukebox.
She does.
She's very necessary.
She is. She's a vital character in this movie.
She sang about as much as Posh Spice though in that.
Ooh.
Like, you look at that, you watch the Wannabe, and she dances a lot, but she doesn't really sing anything.
In reality, if you look at you listen to the songs and you see who sings lead, Posh Spice does not sing lead very often at all.
Oh, I know.
And, I mean, of all five of them, she probably sings lead the least.
Basically, you had... I guarantee you she did, because you had Baby and Scary were kind of like back and forth on lead for some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Ginger was mostly
Ginger and
lead.
Sporty take most
Ginger,
of the
Sporty swings a lot of the like
the higher notes and a lot more riffs.
She's a belter of the group.
Mm-hmm.
She has some pipes.
She can't lip sync for shit, but she can at least sing.
Let's talk about that for a second, because they lip sync in the entire thing, the entire movie, and they like even at one point it's the Italy portion where they're like lip syncing, and then
the girls stop singing, but the track keeps going in the background, and they play. I mean, they pay no attention to that. They're just like, yeah,
it's
that
like 10
happened.
seconds. It's not like a half second like editing slip. No, like they just are like, oh no, that's what we do during concerts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So they get upset and they all leave, and then see, this is where the editing for me was a little frustrating, because you have I think it's 3 or 4 of the 5 are looking off into the distance forlornly.
Very forlorn. Girl, that's barely even a word.
They're looking off into the distance with some ingenue, and that's even worse.
No.
Yeah, no,
an ingenue
with some accoutrement, if you will. And
who you play a Scrabble with, girl?
They're looking off, and they're like, "Oh, we're depressed because we're breaking up. We're all upset." And then they do their flashback, and then they do Sporty Spices looking off into the distance. And I'm like, why wouldn't you do all of them and then that, and then have them all show up?
That's why I was so confused.
I can see that. I can relate, because I was like, oh, that's weird. And then they show up, and I'm like, oh, it's because that was a flashback, and she's thinking about it. And they all show up at the place where they used to meet the guys, the bar owner.
Brian?
I don't remember.
Brian sounds right. Starts with a B.
Yeah, Bill Patterson played him, who is a Scottish actor. Oh, he appeared in Doctor Who episode. Wonderful. Good for him. Anyways, yeah, so he's all about jazz and shit, and that's not important. But they show up and they're like, let's go and get some chips and talk about life. And then the next day happens, and Nicola's having her baby.
Well, they go to the club first. They decide to go really mental, but they bleep that out. They apparently decide to go grab their not mental friend. That's terrible. Pregnant friend. Sorry, and take her to the club where, I mean, there's drag and there's club kid looks, and it's just all kinds of craziness. And then Nicola goes into labor.
Yeah, she's drinking a Pepsi. And then all of a sudden she's
also on a different floor. Like, all of the Spice Girls are down on the dance floor, and they leave her on the second floor.
Yeah, singing and dancing to their own song.
It's a great friend move, guys.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah, why did they all leave? Like, I could understand, like, a couple of them are like, oh, we're gonna go dance.
Because they're not good friends. Let's call a spade a spade.
We're gonna go dance, and then, like, we'll come back, and then you can go dance. No, they're like, we're gonna all go dance.
Let's abandon the pregnant one.
Yeah.
Screw the pregnant friend. Pregnant Spice. Pregger Spice.
Prego Spice.
Oh, God.
Gosh.
So she, like, oh my God, it's happening. I'm having contractions. She just, like, looks like... The look on her face when she has her first contraction is the look of, like, oh, I have to take a massive shit and I don't know where to go. And then it's like, oh, she bends over. I'm like, oh, she really does. And then they're like... Then Baby Spice runs up and does
she yells, Nicola!
And I'm thinking, like, the only thing I can think of at this moment is the Ricola commercial.
Nicola!
Because that's why she says it almost. She's like, Nicola! And I'm like, you need a mint or something. I don't know.
It's not a mint, it's a throat lozenge.
It's like a cough drop.
Well, it's...
Close enough. A for effort.
I mean, like...
You're
like
really
Ludens.
pretty.
You tried.
Yeah, just like Ludens is a cough drop. It's a piece of candy.
Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy.
Oh, Adam West.
Wasn't Adam West.
No,
James Woods.
James Woods.
You went into James Woods.
So she's having her baby, and they're like, hey, Meatloaf, take us to the hospital. And he's like, oh, okay, you're all having babies? He's like, no, just Nicola. And he's like, all right. And so they go to the hospital, and then they're late for their show.
Yes, because they're for 24 hours.
No, wait, that's when Posh drives the bus, right?
Or after
no,
that.
but they get to the hospital for Nicola to deliver the baby, but she's not quite ready yet.
But we get to this point, she's not ready yet. The girls stay there. Then they three of them go and talk to the kid and says, and when Victoria says, maybe you should take your top off, Jerry. And then the kid like wakes up from his little head injury coma thing.
Yes.
And then she has the baby.
Okay, for a second, let's talk about this. So for a group that talks about feminism and girl power as much as they do, they sexualize their friends and themselves.
Oh yeah, sure, you betcha.
Oh, so much. Which is just super hypocritical.
Girl band in the 90s.
I mean, we have to remember, it was a different time.
That's how they sold records.
Yes.
It's true.
Sold records.
Imagine, if you will, a
It's
different
insane.
time.
Yeah, I mean, you take away any of the sex appeal, and they're not that like, exciting.
The music's still good.
Some of it.
Most of it. I'll fight you on this. I'll fight you all day. I love all the Spice Girl music.
I probably wouldn't have been a fan in the 90s had it not been for the movie.
I was a fan of Spice Girls before the movie came out. Let's put it out there. I'm older than these children, so
Nick is OG Spice fan.
Hipster Spice Girl fan.
Hipster Spice. I like that. Maybe not so much.
It just sounds like you smell really bad.
Yeah.
She smells of patchouli. And drinks from Starbucks.
Until I found out. Until
Drinks PBR.
Until I learned I was allergic to patchouli oil.
An overwritten meandering guitar solo.
Inside
jokes.
It never dies. It never dies.
All right. This is when Posh Spice steals the bus.
Okay.
Then they realize they need to
for
get to Albert Hall.
But this
their
is when it
show.
all comes together. This is that pivotal moment where it all comes together. This moment.
So you know those loose strings. This is where they get
Tied
yanked.
up. Yanked?
Yeah, because I wouldn't say tied up. Because this is where it gets confusing to me. Because then it's like,
oh, this is where it gets confusing.
This is this is the meta point in the show because the movie pictures are with Clifford, and essentially whatever they are saying is what is happening to the girls as they were driving the speeding bus through the streets of London, and it kind of realized that maybe this whole movie is just a movie pitch for the movie, which can get a little confusing. But in reality, if you look at the what happens for the next 15 minutes plus what happens in the credits, that's kind of what this is. It's literally pitching a movie. It's a movie about pitching a movie.
But the problem is the guys that are pitching the movie are like secondary characters.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, is this the frame of the story, or are we just dicking around with it for a little bit and pretending like it's the storyline?
It's like the grandpa and the kid in Princess Bride who form the rest of the story around it.
Yeah, but at least that starts with them. We know that they're reading the story. You guys don't show up until 20 minutes in.
No one except for Nick has ever said that this is a classic.
Fight me, bitches. Fight me. All right? This is a good movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. It's a good movie. So Victoria's driving the bus, and the other girls are in the back. And as the pictures are talking about the idea because of the rules, whatever. So they're on top of the bus, and they're all flying in the wind because of the rules. And then
that's what happens in action movies.
Yeah, and then because there has to be somebody on top of some moving vehicle.
There has to be the drama.
Yes, the drama, the suspense. And then they all fall back into the bus. Then they find the bomb. Oh my god, the bomb.
Why is there a bomb? Because the rules.
Because the rules.
So then they just shut the door on it.
And they just shut the door and said, it's a tomorrow problem.
And it's never addressed.
And then nuns happen. And yes.
It is
spoilers.
Oh yeah. We're past the point of spoilers.
Well, then the nuns show up and they stop. They cut off the bus. No, we have to do the flying bus first.
Yeah.
The flying bus happens first.
Because they're like, and then the bridge, the London Bridge, or something like that.
Falling down.
It's right next to that. And
Get
it's
out.
starting to go up, and they're like, are they going to jump the gap? And it's like, that's impossible. And then George Wayne goes, that sounds expensive. And then you see this little toy car and a model that gets dragged across with string or something. And you're like, apparently not. And so, yeah, it wasn't expensive at all.
It's funny because there's build up and then it's just that, and you're like, ha 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 ha. Moving on.
And then they show up at Albert Hall, and they can't get in because the cop is like, you broke a bunch of rules, and you frightened pigeons. Flew a bus without a permit. And then you have Baby Spice doing the stereotypical girl batting her eyes to get out of a ticket thing. And then they get into before they get into Albert Hall, we have a very dark
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Clifford moment. Which is, it's funny in a way, but it's dark and like not funny at the same time. Clifford's saying that he's like, okay, so the band is gonna start, and I'm gonna walk out to center stage and hang myself because I hate the girls.
Holds up a noose.
And he's holding noose too.
Like legit.
Well,
I mean,
dark.
I mean, again, this is the 90s we're talking about here, but still.
Yeah, I don't care if it's the 90s, 2000s, the 80s, or 2010s, or whatever. It's fucked up.
It's dark.
It's really screwed up. But then the girls show up, and he's like, I love these girls, even though he's going to hang himself because they weren't there but like 10 seconds ago. And then they all get together, and you have like a montage of them singing their Spice Up Your Life song, and everybody dancing to it, and like you got the aliens make an appearance, and before this too, we have to wrap up the storyline with Damien, the photographer, because he becomes like a fan of the Spice Girls, and he questions his very existence of all the things, because that's what the
That's what happens in
movie
the plot.
writers say that happens.
Everybody says.
Like,
I feel
my meaningless life.
Yeah, a meaningless existence, something like that. Whatever, blah blah blah, and then he becomes, one of their number one fans, and
So and then he's there dancing, and everybody's happy, and the bad guys are like going to jail because the Kevin McMaxford gets sold out for like a
hot tub scandal.
Hot tub scandal, and that's kind of it. They're dancing and they finish their song, and then we go to this like kind of like pre-credits scene that has the girls talking, and like a bunch of people.
It actually happens in the real movie. It happens during the first part of the credits.
Is it?
They edit out the credits on TV because they roll them super fast at the end. So normally the credits are rolling when that little
so they
backlot scene.
essentially break the fourth wall.
Yes,
and they're, like talking
hardcore.
About the audience sitting out there and watching things and referencing like people making out in the back row.
They're snogging.
Snogging.
There's two snogging in the back. No, you back there behind you. I like your dress.
Yeah. No, not you. Next to you, the one with the dress.
And then they're like, I know what you're thinking. What happened to the bomb? And then the bomb explodes, and that's it. So that's the movie.
End of movie.
Well, there is. I know we always talk about, after things. If you have the movie or if you buy the movie, there is a performance of Mama, the little stage performance after the credits roll. So if you stick through the credits, there's a little performance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so let's look at that's funny. So the accolades, it won an award. It did win one award.
A Teen Choice Award.
A Golden Raspberry Award
Yes.
for Worst Actress.
Which
it
one?
was all five of them,
It was
right?
all five of them.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yep. So they were nominated for Worst Actress. They were, as five of them, nominated for Favorite Movie Actress for the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award.
I called it.
You said Teen Choice, not Kid Choice.
And then Favorite Movie Actress in a Comedy by the Blockbuster Entertainment Award. Those aren't around.
Back when
Alright.
Blockbuster.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's definitely a horrible movie, I think, but
It's a classic.
but remembered fondly by many who were kind of there.
Remembered fondly by some.
By
Not many.
Okay, so let's go ahead. First question before we go to our final thoughts and our final reviews of the movie is, who's your favorite Spice Girl and why?
Oh.
So Kelly's kind of I'm gonna give her the most time to think about this because she's been somebody who she said she's not really into it, hadn't seen the movie before tonight, so I'm gonna give her some time. So Nick, I'm gonna have you start.
So as an adult, my favorite Spice Girl was Posh Spice. But as a kid, when I was younger, my favorite was Baby Spice. Back in my straight days, I was attracted to Spice Girls. So let me paint that picture for you. So I always thought Emma was adorable, and I thought she was super cute. And I still really did like Victoria because I thought she was super pretty. So those are really my reasons why they are my two favorites.
Okay.
Next.
I think I'd bounce between Scary and Ginger. I think just the attitude with both of them is really fun and just very entertaining. I think that, yeah, probably a toss-up between the two of them. Probably leaning more towards Scary, just the hair and the costumes and everything were so just larger than life for her, I think, which is so great.
Yep. All right, Kelly?
I think I'll have to go with Sporty. First of all, she has the comfiest clothes, so that would be awesome.
Kelly's all about the comfort.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like a tank top and like sweatpants. That's like what I wear on a daily basis. But yeah, she's like the leader by example. Like she's just kind of like behind the scenes, but like she's there to save the day when you need her.
All right. I'd have to say, and my wife continues to give me crap about this, and she says there's all sorts of like, not Freudian, but like just like subconscious weird stuff. But I always said Baby was my favorite, and she's like, "Oh, what's that say about you? You're like girls who act like babies?" I'm like, "No, I just thought she was fun.
She was
cute.
She's cute.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know. Between her and Sporty, because I always said when I was younger, I thought Sporty was the only one who could sing. Like I just thought she was always the one singing, even though I knew she wasn't. But I just So I think all of them were referenced except for Ginger. We all ate.
I had Ginger.
Oh, you said Ginger?
I had Ginger. We covered our bases.
So between the four of us, we all enjoy our girls of spice.
Even though she abandoned them.
She's the only one who's an actual spice too, though.
True.
That's so
You're
true.
right.
I mean,
It'd be weird if they were like
paprika spice.
cinnamon.
That
They'll be
girl,
stripper.
that's a stripper.
paprika spice.
Salty spice.
It's like most of us in this room.
At this
And
table.
salt and pepper were already taken.
They were.
Salt and pepper.
Push it real good.
What was it? Didn't they have a third? Who was their third person? They had like a third girl with them. Salt and pepper.
Cinnamon.
Are you thinking TLC?
No, I'm not crazy.
Or are you thinking of the salt and pepper from Blue's Clues that had the baby called
no,
Paprika?
I know that.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
No, but it's fucking hilarious.
Paprika is much more of a complex spice than salt.
DJ
and pepper.
Spinderella. I'm not crazy.
I get you. I feel you.
That was her name. It was Salt and
That's a
Pepper.
great DJ
and then
name.
DJ Spinderella was with them.
That's clever.
DJ name.
She wasn't officially part of Salt and Pepper, but she was always with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so final thoughts and our ranking on a scale of 1 to 5 Spice Girls.
10 out of 10 Spice Girls, like the house down.
What
What are we, like, cloning?
Including
Cloning the Spice Girls?
Yes, 10 out of 10. 5 out of 5 Spice Girls. This is a movie that everyone should see because it is a cult classic. So it is one of those things that if you were a 90s child, you get it, you understand it, you love it. So 90s babes, back me up on this.
Sure.
You weren't a 90s babe.
I know, but I wasn't in the world. I wasn't in the Spice world.
You missed out so much. I'm so
I
sorry
know.
for you.
It's fine.
Kelly just got introduced to the Spice world tonight.
Spice World.
Yeah, and I'm done with it. I mean, I saw it once, and I think I'm good with it.
I am legit gonna go when I leave here to drive home. I'm going to listen to all the Spice Girls songs on my drive home
that's
because I love them so much.
That's great. See, I'd rather listen to NSYNC.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I can never say no to my Spice Girls.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I give it 1 out of 5. I'm sorry.
You give it a sporty Spice.
I'm
I
sorry.
give it one
That
sporty spice.
that audible squeak was Nick being very verklempt over there.
I'm a little emotional.
I mean, there was no plot. I couldn't understand what little plot there was going on. So yeah, I mean, if you like the Spice Girls, you should definitely watch it, and you probably already have watched it. So I'm behind the times here.
Yeah, it's definitely not a great movie. It's entertaining. It's if you're looking for kind of mindless fun, it's entertaining.
It's a great drinking game.
It's a good watch. It's a good drinking game.
Yes.
I'll give it a 2. I mean, it's fun, but definitely not. It's not going to be on any top movie lists of the past 100 years, 20 years.
It will be on the top 50, 40, 30 list of worst movies. Like our best worst movies.
Yeah, so we'll go with two Spice Girls.
So I'm gonna give it 2 different rankings. One on a nostalgia factor and one on an actual like film reviewing factor. On nostalgia, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5, just because I do appreciate, like tonight. I never as a child apparently hadn't been introduced to Meatloaf as much as I have since. We didn't talk about this, but all of the toilets on the bus get plugged up, and Meatloaf. Clifford, the manager, says, why don't you just fix all the toilets? And he's like, I love these girls, and I'd do anything for them, but I won't do that. And I'm like, oh my god, I missed out on that.
Solid reference.
Reference your own shit.
There's a lot of those that I caught tonight that I had maybe heard, but never really completely realized growing up. So for that, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. As far as just cinematic, it's not a good movie. As far as I don't know, it seems like at times it tries to be serious, and at other times it's not trying to be serious, but you don't know when those times are, and sometimes you're like, oh, they're just being cheeky and fun, and then you're like, oh, no, they're trying to actually be cinematic and do things that, like, blockbuster films would do, and it's not really rolling off. So I'm going to give it I'll give it a 1.5. It gets an extra 2 for nostalgia's sake. But Nick's the only one who's really gung-ho about it. I love it. It's a great movie as far as just like sitting and watching and just like, all right, cool. But again, I saw it like 15 years ago, and it's probably going to be another 15 years before I watch it again.
That's so sad. That breaks my gay little heart.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of movies to go out there and watch, and it's good.
One of them, you should see it.
I mean, everybody should see it once.
Yes, absolutely.
And then it's up to them to see if they want to continue watching it, or I don't know. So I think that's it. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So this has been the very first drunk drive-in. I think we'll do more of them. It'll be a lot of fun. I think that one of the next ones we'll try to do. We kind of tossed it around tonight, so this won't happen for probably a month or 2. But we'll watch the original Power Rangers movie and then watch the remake from a year or 2 ago and talk about which is better. Well, we already know which is better, but we'll talk about the comparisons and all that other stuff. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed it, let us know. If you guys had a good time listening to this, we'll do this more often. I just was not in any way, shape, or form all that interested in Uncle Drew or Sicario 2 or whatever that's called. So I was like, let's do something different. And I had a good time recording this. Hopefully you guys did.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, definitely.
Cool. So next week, though, I'm very excited because Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out, and we're going to be doing another remote guest host. A buddy of mine from high school is going to be joining me, so we'll be doing that. And I don't know what's coming out after that. So just keep in touch with us. You can always reach out to us, and let's see if I can do this at this point. On Twitter at driveineventide, or on the email driveineventide@gmail.com. Yeah. I did it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming on, Aaron. The first time very first back-to-back guest host, and then now we've got Kelly on for a second time.
Whoop whoop. Yeah.
And we'll probably be hearing from at least one or more of these in the next few weeks because Mamma Mia 2 comes out.
Oh yeah.
And I think all 3.
Share, bitch.
Okay, well, we need to have Nick on for that episode. Cheerleader.
This is so I can talk like Cher the entire time, bitch.
So there you go. That's what she gets to look forward to.
That's a preview.
All right, guys. That is it for us here. Until next time, drive home safe.